Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. Let me get comfortable. And I'm kind of on a little bender about heavy San Francisco bands because San Francisco is mostly known for bands like Quicksilver and Grateful Dead and kind of hippie psychedelic bands and jam bands and the like. But they had a heavy rock scene that is kind of a nice addition to the big picture. And of course, Blue Cheer being the primary example of that, but bands like Mint Tattoo and Shiver, and then we also have The Other Half. And The Other Half issued one album in 1968 on Acta Records and featured the guitar player Randy Holden. And he, of course, has a connection to these other San Francisco bands too, because he was briefly guitar player in Blue Cheer. And I did a whole separate video about Blue Cheer and a Blue Cheer album that might have been with Randy Holden. But the other half are an interesting band. First off, I'll mention that the album cover is so generic and so cheesy. It's too bad it hides what a great record it is. And it's also kind of interesting that the album was recorded between 1965 and 1968, so it kind of represents a lot of the kind of material the band was doing for a 3 year period. So the band itself was Randy Holden on guitar and vocals, Jeff Weston on guitars, Larry Brown on bass, Danny Woody on drums, and Jeff Nolan on vocals. And Randy Holden had come from previously in a band called Sons of Adam, and Sons of Adam had a number of singles, including a major label Decca. And the Sons of Adam records are great, garage punk, 60s garage punk, definitely influenced by the Rolling Stones and the Yardbirds, but they're marked by incredible guitar work, even for that period. So they're worth hearing. I'll put the links below, but they're worth hearing to show what kind of crazy shit Randy Holden was already doing. And so they moved from Baltimore to the West Coast, and then he ended up in The Other Half in San Francisco. And The Other Half, a lot of their material is definitely very influenced by the Yardbirds and the Rolling Stones of that period. And the legend goes that Randy Holden was asked to join the Yardbirds at that point in time, and he turned him down. So that's the legend anyway. But the band, The Other Half, started out as kind of a singles band. They released a lot of singles. The garage punk classic Mr. Pharmacist came out on GMP Crescendo Records in 1966, and they had the Seeds were on that label, and so they were right at home with that label on that label. But then they changed to Acta Records, the label that put out their single album, and they had a single called Wonderful Day in 1967. They did I Need You in 1967 as a single, and then What Can I Do for You, a single in 1968, and then Morning Fire, their last single in 1968, all on the Acta label. And it's unfortunate that Randy Holden's presence wasn't more dominant across the whole record, and that it captures a lot of their garage punk sound. And there's hints of the fact that they were getting heavier by 1968. They were a pretty heavy band, and purportedly they were quite a presence and pretty loud live, and definitely would have fit into that scene with a band like Blue Cheer. And maybe even Blue Cheer had some influence on them. And so we know that Blue Cheer and The Other Half probably knew each other because Randy Holden, of course, ended up being asked to join Blue Cheer to take Leigh Stevens' spot when Leigh Stevens left, to continue them as a power trio. But once again, it's unfortunate that we don't have maybe a couple more singles in '68 where the band got heavier and louder. And also, unfortunately, we don't have any live recordings, even shitty ones, so we can get a vision of what the band sounded like in their final days when Randy Holden was a huge presence in the band. So The Other Half, another missing piece of the pie of the other rock scene in San Francisco in the late 60s, early 70s with really heavy rock bands. And I'm not sure if the hippie crowds that follow the Grateful Dead and the other kids that followed bands like Blue Cheer. It'd be interesting to see if they got along with each other or they were completely different audiences. Um, Certainly, all those bands played the Avalon and played the Fillmore, so there was probably a lot of crossbreeding, and um, audiences back then were certainly open to a wider range of stuff. So they probably didn't have much problem listening to the Grateful Dead and Quicksilver, and then Blue Cheer, and uh, and the other half. We've seen handbills, of course, that have a lot of those bands playing on the same bill. So apparently, if you take enough acid and take enough pot, as long as the guitars are loud, everything's good. So anyway, the other half, I'll put some links below, and you can check them out. And another part of the San Francisco heavy rock scene. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.